Evening, everybody. And, it's actually really lovely to be here, especially on Women's Day at the IIM Kozhikode campus. And I really do believe that, everybody from IIM are really bright people. I mean, I don't mean to be stereotypical, but it really is the truth. I'd also like to thank Professor Chatterjee for inviting me to be here this evening with all of you. You all must be wondering that why, and actually, I find myself also thinking that, why is it that we only have to celebrate Women's Day on a particular day of the year? And it's a really cliche thing to do. But I think, by and by, I think I'm feeling that at least there is that one day which has been designated for women, where more than anything else, where we actually, we focus on women's issues, and more than we ourselves, I think the work people around also lay focus on it. So it's good to, have this day marked as Women's Day. We it's a time to also introspect. It's a time to really think back and look at some of our schemas. And one such one is that I feel that, our beliefs about gender and inclusion and equality from a very young age have been just imbibed into us, and we've grown up with them in so much so that we've just kind of ingrained it, what we've seen around, what we've heard, movies, media, school, everything becomes so deep rooted and internalized that one starts believing that that's the way it is. I mean, that's the norm. It's only when we really think do we realize that, you know can we think differently? Because even, once those ideas and schemas are internalized, when we become parents and educators, I think we unknowingly, we kind of propagate those beliefs. And then so that cycle of gender inequality just continues, a lot of times without even thinking about it. So it's therefore important to, pause on days like this and, step back and see that can we bring about a change in our own thinking to bring about this gender equality that we talk about and expect everybody else to follow? There's a very old idea which is highlighted in a book by Anais Nin, and she says that, and I really truly believe in this, is that we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. The world is a mirror of our own thoughts. So what you tend to see in the world around and in your relationships is very often a reflection of your own thoughts. And at times, therefore, we don't see gender inequality because of the way we are and the way we've been raised. Uh, so it's time that we really challenge this and, and think about that. Are we really ready to accept what our real value is? It's one thing talking about gender inequality, and it's one thing thinking and introspecting and, kind of deep diving within yourselves to think that are we ready ourselves to value ourselves? So say for example, there's a very old poem, and I'm sure all of you have heard it, which says that what are little girls made of? Sugar and spice and everything nice. That's what little girls are made of. Now there, it is something that you have heard all along, but if you really think about it, that itself is gender bias, because what that's actually saying is that little girls are made of everything that is very nice. Means that, it's a way of saying that you got to be ladylike, don't be tomboyish, or don't be outspoken. So, very inadvertently, these things are just ingrained into us because we've just grown up with it. For an example, in fact, strangely, the word tomboy is something that, we've heard all our lives sometimes. In fact, for myself, because I've always been a very outdoor person. And, very often people used to say, oh, or even till now, they say that, oh, she used to be a tomboy in school. And you know, till very recently, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it because I'd just grown up with it. But now when you think about it, you kind of delayer it and you realize that what does that really mean? I mean, it is a way of being stereotypical, right? It is a way of putting sort of your gender biasing, because you're saying that, and the way it is said is that, you're a girl trying to be like a boy, or you're a girl but following boy sports. So these kind of kind of putting genders into compartments, I think is something that we really need to think about and try and move away for it. Because I mean, of course, it didn't come from a bad place. These gender norms do come from a well-meaning place, but sometimes, more often than not, they do have an impact on young men and women. And as we grow up, then it kind of then reflects in our kind of parenting style. So even something like, it's just, I mean, think about it. Even with parents, I mean, you just thinking that, okay, girls have to be well mannered, have to be polite, and then you enforce these rules more for girls and boys, in so much so that you let the boys get away with so much more of being ill mannered or being destructive. Girl is not supposed to be destructive, but it's okay if a boy is destructive. So, or a girl is not supposed to be outspoken, or even outspoken is taking it to the next level. A girl is not even supposed to say what is on her mind. And when this comes into the workplace area, these rules then suddenly start taking a toll of her self confidence, because even if she is wanting to speak up, she thinks twice about it, because she just becomes apologetic, because even just speaking her mind, or just being assertive, is considered to be shameful. It's also very common in our homes to have different sets of rules for sons and daughters. That it's okay for even for hobbies and passions. There's just so much of gender bias based classification that's happening. And my question is that, why are we okay with it? Why are we succumbing to it? So, and that's how gender inequality just seeps into our subconscious, and it just stays there. So it's important that as parents we break it over there. So even like, say, hobbies, why should we accept that it's not okay for a girl to play football, or why should we accept that cooking is to be done only for girls? So this kind of gender based classification of skills and personalities is what then leads into gender inequalities. And my question to you, all of you, is that, are we somewhere also party to it? Are we also giving into it without realizing that these are the things that do tend to go towards gender inequality? Say something, I mean, something as simple as, you're okay for your son to come back late, your teenage son to come back late at night, but you're not okay for your daughter to come back, even if she is. So keep aside safety, security, okay, all that is a given. But otherwise, with level playing field, you're okay with your son coming home at 1, for example, but you're not okay with your daughter coming home late, because you feel that good girls don't stay out of their homes till very late. So as parents, of course, when you all become parents, it's for you all to make those changes, and then raise your boys and girls in a more equal based environment, rather than even, when you think about it, you think that they're very, very small things, but then it seeps into your living, and then it kind of leads into gender inequalities, which then takes on disproportionate kind of attitudes. I mean, even for me, for example, I'm a very outdoor person, and I really enjoy cycling, driving, trekking, and I faced a lot of resistance, uh, because it was just not accepted. It was not accepted that a girl or a woman could step out cycling, for example, or wants to trek, or wants to be in the outdoors, because typically these are male dominated sort of areas. Even now when I cycle, I mean, it's uh, I can't say it's appalling, but it's shocking that I hardly see any girls on the road cycling. I mean, there are a lot of cyclists, but very few girls. Now, maybe, in the last, say, 2 months, 3 months, I'm seeing more and more girls come, but serious cyclists, there aren't that many. I mean, it's obviously a male dominated sport. So I mean, something like gender inequality, I think, is just so deep rooted that without even knowing, sometimes, you get resistance from family, um, not coming from a bad space, but there is resistance all the same. But of course, I mean, the point is that you need to stick to it. So though despite the resistance, I did stick to it, and because that is something that I choose to do, and I'm not, one is not doing it at the cost of something else. So similarly for all of you, if there is something that you're really passionate about and really want to do. So yeah, so I mean, this kind of gender-based classification of skills is something that we really should be cognizant of. Even if you take the field of education, if you see a survey done in 2017, uh, the percentage of girls enrolled in schools in comparison to the percentage of boys is far lower. And even in households, you can imagine that, you know, parents want to save money for the son's education and the daughter's wedding. Or, you know, they want to rather save for the son's, if it's an either or, then they would save up for the son's education. You know, if a young woman doesn't want to study or work after studying, it's okay, because the thought is that she's any case going to settle down, get married, have a family. So what's the point? So, you know, I feel that things like that, if we can, you know, ourselves be cognizant of. So, you know, I had very recently heard of a couple of stories, and I want to share those with you because these are from families like you and me, educated, you know, well exposed families. And I think this gender discrimination still exists. It's really deep rooted. So, for example, you know, in fact, my physiotherapist was just telling me that when she wanted to become a physiotherapist, and she's not very old, there was a lot of resistance because they just didn't want her to get into medicals, because they felt that, you know, once she grows up, then her marriage market will reduce. And so she faced a lot of resistance to get into something like medical. Of course, she stuck to her guns, and now, of course, she's a physiotherapist. Similarly, there's somebody else I know who's a young lawyer, very well educated, doing extremely well in her profession. But now she's about 26, 27, and now her parents have decided that she can't work anymore. She has done enough, and they are insisting that she gets married. And she just doesn't want to. She wants to educate herself. She wants to work a little bit more. So she's facing a lot of resistance from that. Similarly, I just heard that, you know, somebody who wants to get into, like a psychologist, a good practicing psychologist who's doing really well, is not getting you know, suitable matches because she's a psychologist. And again, in the marriage market, psychologists, psychiatrists are not considered professions for women. So, you know, it's really, really deep rooted. And I would really urge that as parents, we need to make a change, because only then the change will occur. And as people, as women, we need to stick to our guns and say that this is what I really want to do, and try and, you know, go through with it. I'm not saying that it's always easy to you know, to stand your ground and to you know, fight every battle. No, you choose your battles wisely, but what is important to you. And if it is just because of you know, gender discrimination, then, you know, if you can if you yourself first realize that yes, you know, this is not right and you need to bring about a change, only then you'll be able to make that change in the family and other people, and help them understand that, you know what, that how deep rooted it is. Even in terms of finance management, for example, I mean, typically, you know, women just don't understand about finances. There's a huge gap which is created by gender norms, again, because women are not brought up, at least in my generation. Of course, things are really changing now, and I'm really glad about that. But generally, in my generation, you know, women didn't really get involved in taking financial decisions at all. It was always a very male dominated decision. You know, so uh, you know, again, I keep coming back to this because I do believe that the change is going to begin with us. That's where we need to start. You know, from my own experiences also, and of course, I'm still learning. I mean, every day there is something, you know, you face and you realize, and you know, when you, now that you're cognizant of it, you realize that, you know, this is actually stemming from some deep rooted norm that there was, which I have also all along thought that it's okay because that's the way you're brought up, and you know, you feel that that's just the way it is and it's fine. But no, I think you need to stop there and think that can it be done any, can it be different? How do I empower myself? Because that empowerment really needs to start from within you, because the change starts within you. You need to stand up for yourself. And that internal change that you need to work for is our sense of self-worth. We need to respect ourselves much more than we already do. We need to respect what we are doing. We need to be proud of ourselves. You know, of course, there are biological differences, which is fine, but you know, other than that, difference in gender does not mandate a difference in opportunity at all, and we need to believe that. So we need to empower ourselves about our own and change our own views about these issues. You got to unlearn some gender norms. And I say this again and again because when you become parents, this is going to be one of the biggest challenges, to break the gender norms that you were raised with. So when I was bringing up my kids, three, I have two daughters and a son, I've really tried to ensure that there is gender equality across. And we've not made any, all rules apply to both. So even as simple as coming back home, it was the same for all the three. Whether they're following hobbies. So my daughter played enjoy. She loved playing football, and she really played that for a very long time. My son enjoyed cooking for a bit. So you try and keep away from the fact that girls have to play with dolls and boys have to play with balls or cars. Let's move away from that and just let's understand that what is it that the child really wants to do. And as parents, you can bring about that change. So creating this inclusive, gender equal world really starts inside our own minds in the way we see ourselves. So let's try and be more conscious of these gender norms that we've internalized and bring about a change over there. Let's rewrite these old sayings, and let's not restrict ourselves to thinking that all girls need to be made of sugar and spice. Yes, it's of course very important to be nice, but we don't need to restrict ourselves and live by those gender norms. We all are made up of infinite possibilities, and we can grow up to be whatever we work hard for. And gender does not need to come in the way of these opportunities and dreams. So let's start challenging these norms. Let us stand up for ourselves first. Be authentic to yourself. Follow your passions without, of course, compromising on the important duties in life. Don't compromise on something that you want to do because somebody else thinks it's not what a woman should be doing. You follow what you think is the right thing for you to do. So I think on this Women's Day, I ask each one of you to look back into your lives and just, think of one gender norm that you've internalized and you try and unlearn that and see how you can bring about a change. And if there are boys on this chat as well, in this meeting, I would really urge all of you also to think about it and see how y'all can bring about a change within your own ecosystems of, sisters, mothers, girlfriends, and because the change begins with each one of us. I truly believe that. So all the very best, and I do hope that we have a nation, because the youth, all of you are the change makers. You are the ones who can show the way forward. So let's make the change and let the change begin with each one of us. Thank you.